Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Has just issued a truth social from the White House saying this: based on conversations with Prime Minister Sharif and Field Marshal Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran, agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America as President, and also representing the countries in the Middle East, not to have this seconds ago before the deadline. If he could get terms that include an unconditional opening of
David Muir, ABC's World News Time America. Tonight, it's right tonight, the president now announcing 2-week ceasefire. So the president Strait of this. If not, what is the U.S. military potentially prepared for? Move live to Justin and ICE involved sheer investigation. What they claim the suspect was trying to do. The disaster in the past. The bus with 29 children on board clipped at a crossing. Tonight, the bus was dead. Moment before the collision. There is news tonight about the American missing. They describe what they're seeing and the delicious spread that suddenly floated by inside their spacecraft, going viral. Some are calling it the best free ad ever. All tonight, hear what we've now learned about that father of 3 who died after saving 2 of his children in a rip current, and what his wife has now revealed. Tonight, the major involving Lady Gaga canceling a concert and the reason why. America's Charlie and now reveals, and the battle all 3 of them have faced in the years since. Their bond long after their iconic show, right here tonight. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Breaking news this Tuesday night. The U.S. president declares a ceasefire with Iran, what Donald Trump is claiming, and Iran's response. The war's financial hit on Canadian farmers, what ballooning diesel and fertilizer costs could mean, law and order.
This needs to be a relentless focus.
How the Liberals' internal polling is influencing their policies, and the crimes Canadians want the Prime Minister to get tough on. Plus, beaming with pride.
I am so joyful.
The Canadian astronaut at Mission Control watching friends make history in space. Ominous ultimatum to Iran. Trump had warned that at 8 p.m. start wipe out a whole civilization, as he put it, unless Iran's leadership allowed all commercial shipping to pass safely through the Strait of Hormuz. Just over an hour before that deadline, Trump posted this: subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. Critics of Trump warned his threat to destroy a civilization, if carried out, would amount to a war crime. Jackson Prosco is with me from Washington. Jackson, help us understand this latest post from Trump. What's he saying and why at the last minute?
Well, Donna, it essentially comes down to both sides making concessions. So Trump is saying that Iran must reopen the Strait of Hormuz immediately. To do that, Iran...
This is Sky News, the headlines. President Trump agrees to suspend Iran bombing for 2 weeks as the US and Iran agree a temporary ceasefire. This change of heart followed interventions from the likes of Pakistan and protests outside power stations and bridges inside Iran. Also ahead, the first photo from the far side of the moon is released as the Artemis II crew begin their 4-day journey home. The government says nay to yay. The Wireless Festival is cancelled as the rapper Kanye West is blocked from entering the UK for his anti-Semitic remarks. Good morning. Well, Donald Trump has agreed to suspend the attack on Iran as the US and Tehran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. It comes after interventions from the likes of Pakistan and the Pope trying to defuse what's become an incendiary situation. In the last few minutes, the Israeli Prime Minister has confirmed.
Welcome to ABC Daily.
Hear this and more great ABC podcasts on the ABC Listen app.
Today, the United States and Iran agree to a 2-week ceasefire while they negotiate an end to hostilities. Tehran will temporarily allow safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz during that period, sending oil prices tumbling. Former soldier Ben Robert Smith to remain in custody. His lawyers didn't seek bail at the war crimes hearing. And NASA releases inspiring images captured by Artemis II on its historic lunar flyby. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs. The US has announced it'll pause bombing attacks on Iran, and Tehran says it'll reopen the Strait of Hormuz during 2 weeks of negotiations between the warring parties. The 11th hour agreement came after Donald Trump threatened a whole civilization would die if a deal wasn't reached. Detailed the actions in a social media post saying the bombing and attack of Iran will pause for 2 weeks and a double-sided ceasefire had been struck. He went on to say the US has received a 10-point peace proposal from Iran, which he believes to be a workable base for negotiations. Iran's Supreme National Security Council says it's accepted a 2-week ceasefire and that it would negotiate with the United States in Islamabad beginning on Friday.
These negotiations with full
Or in Hong Kong, 8:30. In a back launch.
news.
Turkish police have shot and killed assailants outside the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. 3 gunmen fire on the office shortly after two group, but didn't name the organization. The so-called Islamic State has carried out deadly attacks in Turkey, including one at a nightclub in Istanbul that killed 39 people in 2017. The consulate is housed in a high-rise building in one of Istanbul's main business districts, but no Israeli diplomats were present. Israel withdrew its diplomatic staff from Turkey due to deteriorating relations during the Gaza war. President Erdogan condemned people to trust attack and said he wouldn't allow provocations to harm Turkey's climate of security.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir has fired the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the country's parliament, according to a decree issued on Tuesday. Speaker Jemanu Nukumba is a member of Salva Kiir's ruling SPLM party and a close ally of the president. She had served as Speaker of the Transitional National Legislative Assembly since 2021 and was the first woman to preside over South Sudan's parliament. The dismissal of the Speaker and her deputy Pamela Awerial Alwong comes after SPLM parliamentary caucus members filed a petition last week expressing concerns over Kumba's leadership. Several MPs accused the then Speaker of corruption and demanded her removal. In a statement on Sunday, 2 days before her firing, Kumba reaffirmed her commitment to South Sudan's constitution and to the revitalized peace agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the country. Salva Kiir appointed Joseph Ngere Pasiko and Abu Baiti Aik as the new Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Cameroon on Monday confirmed the death of 16 of its citizens involved alongside the Russian military in Ukraine. The Cameroonian Ministry of External Relations published a list of 16 names it had obtained through a verbal note from the Russian embassy in Yaoundé on March 5th. The document said the death of these Cameroonian nationals occurred in the zone of the so-called Special Military Operation. Russia uses this term to describe its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, launched in February 2022. The names of the 16 citizens were read on national radio on Monday. Authorities called on the families of the deceased to reach out to the government. This is the first time that Yaoundé confirms the identities of dead Cameroonian fighters involved with the Russian military in Ukraine. In February, an investigation from the collective All-Eye
This is DW News. These are our top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump says he is suspending attacks on Iran for 2 weeks. Trump announced the pause just hours before a deadline was due to expire, saying the U.S. received workable ceasefire proposals from Iran. The pause, which would allow negotiations to continue, is contingent on Iran reopening the vital Strait of Hormuz shipping route. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says he and President Donald Trump stand shoulder to shoulder with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who's facing a tough re-election bid on Sunday. On a visit to Budapest, Vance called Orban a model for Europe. The nationalist leader has often been at odds with the EU during his 16 years in power. The crew of Artemis II is on its way back to Earth after completing a historic lunar flyby. The trip included a 40-minute communications blackout as they traveled around the dark side of the moon, taking these photos that have been released by NASA. They also experienced a total solar eclipse. The crew of 3 Americans and 1 Canadian has now traveled farther from the Earth than any humans in history.
Can you guess what old card?
Night Watch here on France 24. Here are the headlines. Iran and the United States set to get back to the negotiating table as the world breathes a sigh of relief. Attacks on Iran if Tehran completely reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Back US with Iran. The deal doesn't cover against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Air raid sirens ringing out in Israel despite the 2-week ceasefire announcement. Israel saying it's detecting an incoming Iranian missile barrage. Cécile Correa and Jacques Paris finally.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.